Tamgedo Jajari Soton, Injimedo, Yaponyamba, Sergilum Boda, Rajibu, Shaja Jave, Shalanga Sha, Jamashana, Durjin Rese, Sayin Bordevan, Nambrasare, Namganim Bosamba, Kundozon, Neve, Session Jelanga Sha. Dagi Sarabungan, Dujabella, Dusum Sanji, Kunja Chenama, Mojong Shaji, Shaji, Yujepa, Yamjuru, Baranon, Begele, Sarabgundo, Sija, Tanyele, Tangasam, Shagi, Yong Zongshi, Shanjum, Himbu, Namkin, Karmapa, Mije, Tebe, Zuge, Lasso. Tanzania show Kavayan, I chain number 2, choosing King to her. Jabsun drove sem tang. Jabsun drove sem tang. Shon chup to jebe sem number ni, sartam ne, zero nang.
So, Khenpo Rinpoche wishes all of you welcome, all the viewers, wherever you are. He asks you to begin by taking refuge in the three jewels and to generate the body-mind. And with that as your mindset, please listen attentively to the explanations that will be given.
Lasso, Tatrima Kamishuete, Kazan. Nang drup wang ji lembek wone drubas kenti kature.
In the previous session, we started the section of the practice which is about taking the four empowerments. And the explanations of the four empowerments began during that session. Now, this segment of the practice is the so-called inner perspective. The previous, the outer perspective, was explained in the previous session.
Kazan Pawang Kap the Tots Shubere, Tatan Dor Dushana, Pawanki, one could be yet Rang Lune de la Courgiote, one du Jangit the Lure, Jangchat the Lugicone, Sakpe, Dikpatang, Debatere. Jangxi Pambe Wangre.
So, with respect to the previous perspective, that of perspective called the outer perspective, that related to the so-called vase empowerment. And what is prime de lu jiangxi yindu inasungerva Shatale tupelu la kogore yang mena yang nangi doju lu yang kogore
na shatale tupelu sang travel long that shatale tupelu son big.
Here, empowerment, vase empowerment, and its sub-empowerments. If you remember, it was explained that there is a number of sub-empowerments. Primarily concern the specific perspective we call the body, the specific perspective as to a sentient being. and here it's about the body, which is the basis with respect to which one engages in a process of purification. One may wonder what the target of the purification is. Well, the process of purification concerns non-virtuous deeds and their predispositions in connection with the physical body simply. So the kind of actions, and here it's non-virtuous actions, engaged in primarily by way of the physical body. And the method of purification is that of an empowerment, and the practices the practitioner engages in once he has obtained the empowerment in question.
Perna ta lujigon sakpe big bad driva sayate jonsa ro karre dosana lu la ngampar hembe shinto thelatene ta lujigon tene ta shembe tokpa thelatene dasha shedon tumungajarke topat raru song tigene lui kone
laso
big pesawa naso la jugi yore la te jonse the
naso la jukpa ravan
ya
laso
jonse the pong topala tenne tamal ji신 donde jonse je름 관계요.
So a worldly individual will in the past have engaged in various non-virtuous actions, perhaps virtuous as well. However, the target in terms of a process of purification here is primarily that of non-virtuous actions of the past. Now, because of non-virtuous actions, or rather the effect of engaging in non-virtuous actions is the developing of a number of obscurations which or that obscure the mind, and thus the sentient being or individual in question continues on a worldly path and is therefore removes himself, as it were, from approaching enlightenment. Now, the main point here that the practitioner is to pay attention to in terms of a process of purification is his idea of the physical body, primarily here, truly existing. The physical body having an existence of its own. This misperception is to be remedied, simply because if that mistaken notion isn't remedied, then various afflictive and obscuring states of mind will govern the mindset of the individual. Afflictive and obscuring states of mind such as passion, aggression, delusion, pride, and the like. And the stronger these states of mind become, the greater the extent of non-virtue in terms of the individual. The higher the degree of afflictive obscuring states is, the coarser the deeds or the behavior of the individual will be. And once that has escalated, the individual is fully prepared to engage in various non-virtuous deeds. The individual will, because of his mind being obscured by these states, be ready to engage in non-virtuous deeds to a great extent. And that will prevent the individual from making any progress in terms of achieving liberation from endless rebirths in various worldly existences. Now, here, in terms of the practice, there is the objective, in order to remedy what was described, to obtain the empowerment. And an empowerment is the beginning of the method by way of which, or through which, or the method simply which remedies what was just described. And in terms of the practice the individual does, once the empowerment has been attained in this context, that of the vast empowerment, in order to remedy what was described, the method concerns various stages throughout which the individual remedies his mistaken notion of the body as something real and solid, and the resulting deeds and obscurations by way of meditating by way of, in his mind's eye to begin with, generate himself as an individual, as it were, free of this mistaken notion and its consequences in the setting of what one may refer to perhaps as an enlightened world, the so-called mandala.
Teneti jetala jembe re lame jembe nene sukebe Jembetnes good pay, ye get aig marvole, Veserim marvo, Pagdume Pachu, Rangi Jambala Tem, Tele Duci Jun Pop, Veser Tele. Tenet Dadan, Simchen Tamji go, Simchen Tamji Mag Gune, Sarpe Ditip Johnson Sampe.
Next, one meditates that from the red seed syllable A, resting at the throat center of the Guru, immeasurable red colored light rays emanate. Light rays that strike the corresponding place on my own body and then turns into nectar by way of which non-virtuous deeds and the resulting obscurations amassed or accumulated in the past, in terms of both myself and all other sentient beings, are purified. That is to say, non-virtuous deeds and the resulting obscurations accumulated primarily by way of speech.
Nga sekende salong gu juwa chik la tenne nga gyo pande yektu bogu yarwa
salong gi gyuwa
cheza
salong gi gyuwa la
tenne nga sekende tup tup gi yarwa cheza tamal tbe nga sekende ndela nga samne dambar shimbatre ti gone ngazo tene ta nga gon dikpa da mangbo zo de growa ngak char se rabu tene jen se rabu changma tene yong ko gyorwa
나서
ti inde jongwe shi madak pchalung thre
Jongshi Madar Petsanglo, Salung.
Jangsha
Lasso
Madar Patelatene, Sapet Dipadan Javatre
Lasso
Jangshi Lam Salung Gambatre Drebu Longku Tope.
One has to consider, in order to understand this perspective, the workings of speech. The capacity for uttering sounds and words happen primarily because of the workings of what in Sanskrit is called nadi and prana, which, not as a translation, but rather as an explanation, would concern pathways in the body, pathways in which circulation happen. So it's primarily because of various kinds of circulation, because you have many types, happening within various pathways of the body, that speech happens. The capacity an individual has to utter sounds, words, and the like. Now, in terms of an ordinary worldly person, the ordinary worldly person, just as with the body, sees speech, his speech, as real and solid. There is no knowledge of the empty nature of speech and what speech is about, which makes for non-virtuous deeds and the resulting obscurations. Now, in terms of non-virtue in the context of speech, there are many perspectives. A few, or two of them, easy to understand. Two examples would be lies, aimless chatter which may disturb others, and so on and so forth. There is a wide range of non-virtuous deeds associated with speech. And all the different non-virtuous deeds in the context of speech is the target as to the process of purification that the practitioner is to engage in here, in consequence of having obtained or received empowerment. Dadi sangwong rebe di sung
yes.
Di sung yarwe di la leb maso.
Re.
Di shuma sung gerwa. And in terms of the specifics as to the target, by way of practice, by way of meditation and its methods, you have two perspectives: the pathways and what circulates within them, the workings that make speech possible, as well as, of course, the non-virtuous deeds of the past that have taken place in the context of speech and the resulting obscurations. Now, the method or methods as to the process of purification itself are methods whereby the pathways and what circulates within them are purified. And the effect or the goal of doing this is that of obtaining the so-called Sambhogakaya. And by way of this empowerment and the various practices described in brief, what happens is that the practitioner, at the very minimum, sows the seed for, to sometime in the future, actualize the Sambhogakaya perspective of Buddha, the enlightened state.
Tandi katote wang yi nane de la songwe wang songare songwang songare
Ni parava.
ni patere.
So the empowerment concerned here is named the secret empowerment, and is then evidently number 2 in the list of 4 empowerments.
다 제가 나신 게 라메 두개 위수 꽤 홍인 원보텔레 왜서 뻑tum에 버트 랑긴 흰카르템 텔레 두지 준 파업 이직권에 싹배
라소
딕바당 제바 지여바테 용송 삼고기여 그래.
Then there is the third empowerment. Here the practitioner meditates as follows, namely that from the blue-colored seed syllable hung in the center of the heart center, or in the heart center of the Guru. It rests in the heart center of the Guru. From it, immeasurable blue-colored light rays emanate, light rays that strike the corresponding place on my body, or the meditator's body, at which point the light rays turn into a continuous flow of blue-colored nectar, by way of which non-virtue and the resulting obscurations accumulated by way of the mind primarily are purified.
다티체 용도 리갑 종시테
용시
용시테 네 초두기 인들에
Here the basis for the purification or the target, as it were, is the 6 workings of the worldly mindset, 6 kinds of so-called object-oriented knowledge.
정사테 초두기 시발라 신도 쇼발라 때네 땡가라서 이지고는 딕바탐나 사기여라. 그래서 정사리.
Again, what triggers a worldly individual to engage in non-virtue is his notion of the mind as real and solid. And it's again this mistaken notion that is to be remedied here with respect to the 6 object-oriented types of knowledge which make for a so-called worldly mindset. And the method which can set in motion that process of purification is the empowerment and the practices associated with it. And here it is the empowerment of so-called higher knowledge.
Perna kandes chene jongyungbi yorsana chodu yebe toso kariyena yang ko ngo rajin jitong batang namba de ngo la ngoto yor detong song yuk
And how does this process of purification happen then? Well, it is pointed out during the empowerment to the practitioner that with respect to the 6 types of object orientation and whatever occurs because of them, all of that is, in the end, nothing but their natural emptiness and their perspective of so-called absolute well-being, simply because the 6 types of object orientation do not truly exist, have in fact never occurred. What occurs is nothing but the true nature of them, the spontaneous presence of their true nature in its 2 perspectives, that of natural emptiness and that of so-called absolute well-being.
Takabrekabindile sherab yishi jiwang seji ungedo. Mang chano sherab jiwang singedre. Then the yishi jiwang songye pe yishi imbichane songre.
Sometimes this empowerment is referred to as higher knowledge in the context of primordial knowledge. The so-called higher knowledge has various levels. It's not as if you have just one level of higher knowledge. You have various levels of it, and here it's higher knowledge at the level of not final primordial knowledge, but the perspective of primordial knowledge pointed out to the practitioner during the empowerment, and in the case of a practitioner who grasps the pointing out instruction and who therefore has a passing experience of primordial knowledge, which is similar to actual primordial knowledge. An example of actual primordial knowledge. That's what the word primordial knowledge is a reference to as to the longer name of this empowerment. In the Tibetan, you simply have the 2 names, higher knowledge and primordial knowledge, and then the word empowerment. However, the language, the Tibetan language, here implies primordial knowledge as experienced or understood by higher knowledge, which to the practitioner who understands the implications makes clear that we're not looking at primordial knowledge at the level of Buddhally enlightened state here, but rather an experience of it at the level of the practitioner's higher knowledge triggered by the pointing out instructions during the empowerment.
Tene Palden Lame Tene Ne Sumle Du Chikchar Tu Öserkar Mar Tinsam Chöne Ranki Gosam Chanyam Jisape Dikpatang Jabajunga Song Sampo Yare
Chanyam da Lungaji sum Chatsang.
Chasang Jitiba. Di want the Latsi Wang Song.
Then we have the fourth of the four empowerments, named the word empowerment. And the meditation, in short, is as follows here. The practitioner meditates that from all three places of the or rather from all three places on the body of the illustrious Guru, white light rays, red light rays, and blue light rays emanate at the same time and strike the corresponding places on the practitioner's body, by way of which non-virtuous deeds and the resulting obscurations accumulated by way of body, speech, and mind are purified.
Tandorna Tendesi the Wang Ji Shebrella. Tati Drivate Shodam de Jana Yen She Nyamju Pasha Drivadans Damchi Jandor.
And the what do you call it?
Yeah, get pum, I say, get told no more.
Chichatru Gisikta Usakarma Ting Sum
Chichatru Rang Gosam Latim one year.
So the text then reads from the three places on the body of the illustrious Guru, the three seed syllables radiate white, red, and blue-colored light rays at the same time, and that, or rather these lights, or these light rays, are absorbed through my three gates, and the four empowerments are obtained. By way of which the afflictions, cognitive and meditative obscurations, and their predispositions are all purified. Nguvuniku chi sungyo maravatanda.
Tati Cheyantu Wang Yi Pongsha Debate Damji Cheyantu Pena Pong Topala Tenne
Lasso?
Nyamumpe Deba Sankindi Yang Mount Bar, Devu Tulbeku topical dentushe.
Lasso?
Song topalatene. Shedib Rakpati Jung.
Lasso?
Mount Bar Lungu topical denche. Sharon topalatene. Nyamjuk Gidawat Jung. Mountpa Devu Chuk Tope Golden Che. Tene Tsigon Topalatene. Sharon Shindu
Shidrip.
Gonda Shedib Shindu Tamu. Kanur Ka.
Lasso?
Shedib Shindu Tamu. Basha Young, Shedib Basha Tamu Tenzo Young.
Lasso?
Devu, no Nijiku Tope, Galbadan Dambazure, Sond.
So, to sum up, independence upon having obtained the vast empowerment in its various stages, afflictive types of obscurations are purified, and in the future, the practitioner will actualize the Nirmanakaya perspective of enlightenment. Then, independence upon the so-called secret empowerment, the coarse type of cognitive obscurations are purified, and in the future, the practitioner will therefore actualize the Sambhogakaya perspective of enlightenment. Next, independence upon having obtained the empowerment of higher knowledge, so-called meditative obscurations, obscurations in the context of various meditative states are purified, and the practitioner would, in effect of that having been realized, in the future actualize the Dharmakaya perspective of enlightenment. Then there is the fourth empowerment, the word empowerment, in dependence upon which the most subtle types of cognitive obscuration are purified. That's a reference to the predispositions for that type of obscuration. These predispositions are by way of this empowerment, or by way of the empowerment, or the empowerment rather sows the seed for their elimination, their purification, in effect of which, in the future, the practitioner can realize or actualize the so-called Svabhavika Kaya.
Lasso, tene, that tendreke, one yeti, 다 초그 도르절로분 지크군네 슈베이나 로말 컨디션 토구여스나 왕제 월 약ပတ်점데 마레 단테네 왕동기 시드 고구여데 뺀나
라소
라메 마 기주네 왕직지 난게요레 까브레 류게 다이게네양 망시게
라소
텔랑이 네 왕슈바 폴로마테게 릭바 옌도 마임바
라소
제 찍도냐나
라소
ten kalden ongbo yongrapina
라소
왕든 또루요 다
라소
텐데 kalbame 왕본 dream이 저 왕보 또 보지나양 다 somna 제치 땅바이나 왕든키 왕기 된들라 다든 드렌징게 똑바직 라나 용토바지 고기요
Dranan Helsinki tok bara va? Tok sikt hela nampar tok bara
nambar 똑바래 nambar 똑바
Dranan Helsinki tok bara kanske?
똑바직 줄에 째고
Wongdöngi kor.
왕든 꼴
So, in terms of the four empowerments, as has been explained earlier, one receives the empowerments from a so-called supreme master, a master who himself has realized the final goal. Now, in terms of the disciples or the students who take the empowerment, it's important to understand the following as to the actual purpose of the empowerment. One does not obtain the empowerment or the empowerments just by way of attending the empowerment and then at the end of it be touched by the various ritual implements. That alone does not make for obtaining the four empowerments. For that to happen, there has to be a level of otherworldly knowledge as to the empowerments and what they involve and mean. Now, that knowledge happens on the basis of the instructions during the empowerment spoken by or given by the Supreme Master. Sometimes instructions are also given by way of sign language, a gesture, for example. So the instructions are not in all cases about the spoken word. These instructions may also be given on the basis of so-called sign language. And during the instructions, the disciple must, in order to be able to grasp the instructions, the disciple must be able to rest in a one-pointed state, free from any distraction. There is the focus on just the instructions given, whether in the shape and form of the spoken word or in the shape and form of sign language. Now, of course, in terms of a group of people who are present at an empowerment, the disciples are not all of the same capacity, are not all at the same level of development. Therefore, the effect of the empowerments will vary. In terms of a disciple of the highest capacity, that disciple, having attentively paid attention, as was described to the instructions, would in effect grasp the instructions and during the empowerment attain the goal simply. Now, this does not apply to the majority, of course. Disciples of this kind of capacity are rare. Then you have capacity, so therefore there are other levels of capacity listed. Those disciples who are of a middling capacity and those disciples who are of a more dull faculty and therefore do not have a very high capacity. However, effects can occur provided the disciples pay attention one-pointedly, and in the case of disciples of either middling or lower capacity, that would entail the workings of the conceptual mind, the mindset of object orientation, where the individual grasps something explained to him or the instructions given to him by way of the workings of a conceptual mindset, the workings of the intellect, as it were. Tene de la tene chikula ke gue som som. Jadan relsingi tokpa tene.
Tokpa tela tene.
De la tene.
Ranga wang koachi levdo.
So, to put it simply, on the basis of the intellect, disciples of middling and lower capacities are able to grasp intellectually the meaning of the instructions given during the 4 empowerments. However, again, it does require that the disciples in question are focused one-pointedly, that distraction simply does not happen. distraction which evidently would make the mind deviate from the instructions given. And therefore the instructions cannot be understood.
Tene wangdun ki kwa te kwa samda jama shawa chen. Mutu ne loro kamchuk nangba yina. Penda nima rere jendo ta tun sumam, tun ye, rap tun chuk lame nanjor chen. Gamne onin te nang deba yina. Nima chikla tene wangdun ki nyungma chikrang yu le lep yung kiyo kare. Te chunyi re, te lep chungna, te tu tangar wang ngu jita togu yo kare.
Now, for those disciples who were able to stay one-pointedly focused, an intellectual understanding of the instructions in the context of the four empowerments is achieved. Thereafter, those practitioners, for the sake of developing beyond just an intellectual knowledge, would engage in the practice in question, here the Guru Yoga, in the context of which they would cultivate that intellectual understanding, and they would devote a great deal of time to doing just this. Each day, they would devote 3 or 4 sessions to doing this. The best would be to do 6 sessions a day in order to develop. And if this is done over time, then at one point, in consequence of the practitioner having cultivated the intellectual knowledge he actualized during the empowerment, gets the point and goes beyond the intellect. And at that point, the disciple actually receives the empowerments, obtains the empowerments. Which spells liberation from samsara, liberation from endless rebirths in various worldly existences.
Perna tana yang rangi nyamarla lamen nanjur yinenda yidam yinenda kangene tene wang chi dadan rezing wang tokpa yule che chane zungde wang nin de nyamarla tin rede masha ngebar nang gore
Nima takpa kante?
Nyamar rede la
Yeah, the kante.
Wang nin de tin rede masha ngebar nang.
Now, in terms of making progress, the very minimum would be whether one looks at this meditation, that of the Guru Yoga, or a Yidam practice, the very minimum for it being possible to make any progress at all would be to do at least one session of practice where the intellectual knowledge one realized during the empowerment is cultivated. That would be the very minimum for any progress to happen at all.
Tende nang bi na pen la ma khum ma che song de yo re wang ke chuo ma kam song re.
The masters of old in this context have said or have given the advice, do not do not let the water of the river of empowerment dry up.
Per natis setu jawa doje changne tang ran so Karmapa tene jubdun thaya doji partu tene wang ki chuo de zan kam yo ma re ti chuo ma kam ba de dareng ngarang de thoba yin za ta nge jang ma kam ba che ne nyamling gok du song re.
So from the time of Buddha Vajradhara till today, and in terms of our tradition, the present head of the Karmakadya lineage is the 17th Karmapa Taya Dorje, and the water of the river of empowerment has been preserved, has not dried up.
Wang ki chuo ma kams
Yes.
tita tende ke donna Karmapa thaya doji yin da rig doji yin da shamaram che yin da tensu gyo tu ju li ye be wang ki chuo de kam yo ma re
So-
tene ngala chu ji tang nge ngala phab yo te tang nge kam ma ju song.
So, whether one has obtained empowerment from the present Karmapa, the 17th Karmapa Taya Dorje, or the late Karmapa, the 16th Karmapa Rangjung Rikpe Dorje, or the late Shamarpa,
Ya chu chi lo de
Kilodru, they have preserved the water of those rivers, or river, however one wants to phrase it, so that I and other practitioners have been able to partake of that water in the context of the empowerments they have given. So for the personal practitioner, it's or for the individual practitioner rather, it's now a matter of not letting the water of those rivers of empowerment dry up, meaning one devotes time to the practice in various ways, as was described in brief.
tende ki nyam jin chi nang ba yin na shin lap che tre ma yal song de.
And thus, the warmth, as it were, of their spiritual influence does not fade.
Te song de ngarang de shin lap de ta ta thop yu gre tende ki nyam ni chi.
Any practitioners and others can come in contact with that warmth of their spiritual influence.
Shin lap de san sam chan yo ma nyam ni che be kong sa la de.
And there are no limitations with respect to their spiritual influence. However, whether the warmth of their spiritual influence fades or not, that's up to the practitioners in terms of how they preserve and maintain what they have been given.
lasso ta te che ta ti shugote la me sung drup tuik sewa singetere
La maison
che nang songwa ma che nyung me ngang du luk par shoks
That's the condition.
ma che
Oh, I see. Tange känta kikla dråt.
ta yin che de jitere
Da det ngovo nigi kurva. Namrol ngovo nigi.
te zo tsai ba
Yeah. So, having rid oneself of non-virtue predispositions and the like, as was explained earlier, the result of that process of purification is the actualizing of the svabhavika kaya, a state free from samsara's dimension. Next, the text, or this segment of the text, then ends with the following sentence. Thus, mind places itself in its natural state without artifice. That's all.
ta te che de ma pye se de tanda khare ye be lo te la chö ka yin ma jap che tok che tong mi che be chö ka ma ja so ma
And the practitioner, if able to rest in this natural state without artifice, does so on the basis of not making any efforts, not taking on in the mind's eye any focus.
chö ka ma ja sa ma chö se de nyung ma se ge thön de pen na nyung ma se ta yin na dra sem salwa se na ya dra tene thamal ji she pa se na dra Chödrag ji she pa se na dra de so thanda chik pa ko gi yor
Nyugma.
a
Nyugma.
nyuma de la
So, one is to rest in that natural state. Natural in that it's free from any artifice of any kind. It's free, it's a state free from mental fabrications. Chödrag, kanskje sånn sånn.
Teil, Sal, Thamal Chepa,
Its original mind, it is a vivid and clear mindset of an enlightening nature. One may even refer to that as mind's illuminating force.
Tan Disu Tanda the Kandajre Sayona, Nyame Gambapa Ge, Tash Nume Shepa, Tamal Shepa, Sangendela, Kandajre Sana, Cholu Tang, Trumta, Kang Tanyek Mashua so much.
So, according to the unsurpassable Gambopa, one of the founding fathers of the Kagyu school, that natural state, that original mindset, is a mindset beyond any institutionalized religious system, with what that involves. Chöluk dang madralva.
Cholu Tang Matella, philosopher tanya kangi yang ma le
as well as beyond the definitions of philosophical speculation about reality. So, artifice of those types in the context of institutionalized religious systems, as well as definitions as to philosophical speculation and the like, the so-called original mind is beyond all of that. Also, the original mind, the so-called original mind, is beyond the definitions found in a language, the definitions a language can set forth. A language, and here it's a matter of the spoken word, which is the creation of any language, is the creation of a worldly, object-oriented mindset. And original mind is beyond the possibility of being defined by any kind of language. Furthermore, Gambopa pointed to that the original mindset is beyond both states of dullness or agitation. And the instruction here is to rest naturally in the so-called, in the mindset named the original mind, which is beyond the definitions of worldly languages, beyond states, mental states of dullness or agitation, beyond institutionalized religions and philosophical speculation. Now, the instruction is to simply rest naturally in this state. Now, a beginner may find that difficult, that it's beyond him to do so. And in order to make that possible for a beginner, the Indian Buddhist master of old, Naropa, Tilopa, set forth 6 instructions. The first of which is the instruction of not recollecting the past. if one sits in the meditation posture and thinks about the past, one is simply distracted. One does not meditate at all. Next, he said, also do not make plans for the future.
Future plan
by way of imagining future scenarios, one simply one simply increases mind's tendency to aimlessly wander from one topic to the other. The third instruction is, do also not entertain thoughts in the present. If one thinks about this and that in the present, again, the mindset is an unstable one. It is one which aimlessly focuses on one thing after the other, and this is not conducive to develop in meditation. The fourth instruction is, do not objectify the meditation. The fifth instruction is, don't reason and logic while trying to meditate. The sixth instruction is, instead, rest mind in its natural state. And as to the meditation text, there is now the reciting of the mantra Karmapa. And what was just described in terms of the 6 instructions, this is the mindset one is to cultivate while doing the recitation. So one shouldn't sit in the meditation posture reciting the mantra while the mind aimlessly wanders from one thing to the other. In terms of the meditation text, then, find my notes, just a second. There is the dedicating of merit and voicing aspirations.
Tate given roso kanyam yijingun tome given roso kanyam yijingun tome nesa ditong pacha tang kunda turba hame rapsal te yin kuncha long shape show sometre.
First, the text reads as follows: by way of this virtue, may the non-virtue and its predispositions and the delusion which labels all things, amassed by the hosts of infinite sentient beings, their numbers equal to space, clear away without exception to the fullest extent. May the true face of the integral domain which pervades all be known. So, Khenpo Rinpoche says, meaning-wise, this is quite straightforward, so he won't go into the details of the wording here. Next, there is the wording as to the dedication of the merit that has come to be because of practicing the way that was described. The words of the text are: oceans of paths of unfailing aspirations and oceans of primordial purity and perspicacity have been pledged or have been dedicated. Though dedication and dedicator are fathomless, may the abyss of oceans of samsaras stir from its depths and made empty. The integral domain, that all-pervading and unconditioned illuminating force, manifests by way of the path, cultivating the same throughout the rest of the path while traveling the path. May final fruition, Buddha the enlightened state, be actualized. May the four kayas, the rank of the guru, be obtained.
Lasso tene takase di lonchi dana se kacha song.
Lasso.
Tate pana mission de ju ne wang kurie tang long de de tenzo de tenson zeba mu shira du. Ta yin na yang wang kur na togyo da me ne wone 태섬래 간위는 미슈 된다기 유나 왕대 조사 말에 다 농대 배제 톱그레서도 다 마세 딱 나랑게 이세 체슈 라메테 라마시라는 버체게 양 낭되기도 대대인상에 들이진 더샤.
There has been requests for the reading transmission of the text in question. Now, today there is a lot of debate as to whether or not it would be possible to, for example, obtain an empowerment given online or a reading transmission given online. Khenpo Rinpoche says as to obtaining or not obtaining, as to an empowerment, he doubts it would be possible to at all truly obtain an empowerment online. He himself, he explains, would not attempt to follow an empowerment online. Then there is the question of obtaining or not obtaining a reading transmission of a text given online. Khenpo Rinpoche says he thinks it may be possible to obtain a reading transmission in this way. He gives the example of Lama Sherab Gyaltsen Rinpoche, one of the most well-known lamas of the Karmapa school today. He, that is to say Lama Sherab Gyaltsen Rinpoche, does give reading transmissions via the net. And so Khenpo concludes from this example that it could be possible that the reading transmission is received by those following the reading transmission online. And because of the requests that have been made, he has therefore decided to give the reading transmission today via the net.
Naso lame nanjor kuishi nyugu cheshi duji charjun chesha wa yukso namu nime dokan dun zepe namden lamam latune kalden boye kum chal jebe duji tintin tro deyang tumun ke chö tongde yiche samdang yinne chirche pungshi yinpen yedam chebra rebe tamjak mandu tangne ama sabawa shuda sarvadama sabawa shuda hung chuyin jeme chödrag rune yamen nande yinche ngani la dun kara kunsong chöten jasu yu yincho sente pema da we ten kechik tinzo zasam de be ku yarwe umbo shinzam den den dong tongdore shama serin dong bomyu sol chani tawishi songju doren zen chöge namsam sorsin shabje tong de dong yimeyin la mayo bar cenbe jeden zejen barjen yu xie lote lingel jinze chin le solwande pan jamne kundu tenchen amala solwande so da so roan mumbe ma bar xewa jinjel jeme zercha wanje do so jamne kundu tenchen amala solwande so da so roan mumbe ma bar xewa jinjel jeme zercha wanje do jamne kundu tenchen amala solwande so da so roan mumbe ma bar xewa jinjel jeme zercha wanje do so ji ning kashe jen tar padna men esum ro son de zer kan ma ten sa ji jar rangge gosam la den onji 토음 년시에 냠주 화샤 근종 남주릉 원이 근건도 제 마주 유명한도 루버야 까마버지는 까마버지노 동망다 라메 구송 투당 롱게 능아 있음 예메도 세데 코스메도 뱅은 진유수 냠버는 조건 주도 게소 공펠도 샤베 실모완네 게손로에 간염이 진제 포멘네다 대송 파착 군다 주관노메라서네 인 근장 공시버 쇼 호메 만음자서 고진진 예네 중중 janso 용어 뭐장로 저저 다다장 고와자도 동네 주저지 진 자도 섬들마제 남직문 줄지 다라브레 타르tunre 원송제 줄지 꾸절라메 공문도 쇼 제방 작은 남자도 이제 다시가 사례제 타진데 꾸병으로 까마도 천지 설마 토르와 찬찬르도 바 주루베스 사치 주되다에 야르세나 샤마르티데 티파 갈렉 페르 라소 수남데에 탐제 작바니 탐네 예베 드라놈 팜제 제가 나제 발라우 투바이 시게 촐렌도 와쇼 라소 최신게 넘버 3마 고수 야고용에 단 냠내 공도 패배 나랑도 만남 관시 지시 대비 용 되네 되네 사마 코스래 양자는 제용
Khenpo Rinpoche wishes all of you who have followed this series of lectures the best of health and he also voices the aspiration that all of you may make progress in your efforts as to practicing meditation. This then ends this series of lectures. He also says that the summer course, anyone interested is welcome to follow that. And as you probably know, it starts on the 6th of July.
Tene 다른 데게 좋아하는 게 가셔지 요사를 때 날 두서라 마송 간이스나 내 티칭 카드 제도 차로 미세는 날 강의시라도 tene tiggelang araya shigule shiratragundu ten terin katson dambalundu nyamnendu talatumbu utumeda tagiye tende indu tuse mendo yema tuse lawo sona ling pucho.
Khenpo Rinpoche also would like those of you who have asked questions, he would like you to know that he's very sorry, but unfortunately, if there had been time devoted to questions and answers, we would not have been able to finish the explanations of the practice and the text. And he himself does not also in between, that is to say, during time apart from giving the explanations, he also isn't free to devote time to questions and answers, simply because he explains he fears the arrival of death to quite some extent, and therefore he devotes his spare time to meditation practice, and therefore there is also no time in between to devote to questions and answers. He says, unfortunately, he's not able to do so. And he explains that he has spent 53 years of his life teaching in the Karmapa school of Tibetan Buddhism. And in terms of what he has explained here and in other places at other times in the context of other topics, he doesn't really have anything additional to say than what he did say.
Lasso. Goodbye, everybody.